Well, Mercedes, we know Geary Higgins, of course. He was on the Loudoun County Board of Supervisors and also the chairman of the 10th Congressional District for the Republican Party. And now he wants to be your member of the House of Delegates as he is the Republican nominee. And all right, Geary, we're in it now. Voting's been going on for weeks, and it's the home stretch leading up to Tuesday. How's the race looking, in your opinion?
Good morning, Larry and Mercedes. Great to be on with you this morning. The race is looking good. The numbers that we're seeing with the early voting are all positive. We're up over last year, from what I understand, about 7%, and 2 years ago we're up 4%. So the early voting has been very positive in our direction, and we just need to keep the heat on them and the pedal to the metal to get everybody out to vote.
Well, the things are getting nasty out there. Clearly, the Democrats are running scared because I see your yard signs and some of the signs that you've got on the side of the road in parts of Loudoun County are being vandalized and torn down. I saw this from your Twitter feed. What's that all about?
I don't know. This is the usual MO at this time of year, I guess. I wish they'd tear down the small yard signs. They're only a couple bucks a piece. Those big ones are about $55. So, you know, if they can if we got a choice, they could tear the small ones down. That would be preferred.
Nice.
But yeah, we've had a bunch of them torn down and disappear, and one thing and another. But I guess that's who we're running against.
Yeah. What do you, when you're going door to door, when you're talking to the people in your district, what's their biggest concern right now?
Well, it's interesting. Those concerns have changed over the course of the campaign. Initially, the major concerns were schools and public safety and parents' rights or parents' involvements in education. More recently, the economy has creeped up to the top, and parents' rights and education have dropped a little bit. I think people are getting more and more concerned about the economy and what's going on with it. But those other issues are still very important, particularly in Loudoun County and in this area.
And right now, I know that Governor Youngkin is on this final push because he's been working on the Secure the Vote campaign, getting that early voting that you just cited, because he wants to be able to have a larger majority in the House of Delegates, the body that you're running for, and also a Republican majority in the Senate. Should that happen, tell voters what they should expect with this Youngkin Republican majority starting in January. What will that agenda look like?
Well, much of the governor's agenda, of course, died in the Senate because of the Democrat control of that. So things like unlinking Virginia to California CAFE standards and allowing a state that's 3,000 miles away to run our environmental policies, impaneling our parole board so that the governor can actually have his parole board impaneled and we're not turning out people that have killed police officers. I think you'll see more emphasis on parents' rights in schools. These are the things that the governor is campaigning on, and his initiatives get stopped in the Senate. So if we can hold on to the House and keep the Senate, we will move his agenda forward.
So when you're looking at the fact that I think people can still vote, and then is Friday the last day with early voting, or how does that work?
Yeah, my understanding is Friday is the last day of early voting, so we're pushing people to get out and get their votes banked and done, and they can relax. We hear people complain about all of the texting and the mail and the phone calls. Well, if you get out and vote, that will come to an end because the voters are tracked, and when they stop or when they have voted, we stop sending information to them because the expense and the inconvenience. So that's one benefit of voting early. But we're going to push the early voting right up until Saturday, and then we are going to get out into the field and try to get the rest of the folks that haven't voted out to vote by knocking on their doors and calling them on the phones to make sure they get out and vote.
And by the way, thankfully, Tuesday is looking absolutely beautiful. The weather is going to be 70 degrees and clear. But you don't know that, and that's why, since early voting is legal and part of the rules, we've got to do what Democrats have perfected at this point and get as much of that early voting in as possible. That said, with beautiful weather on Tuesday, we should expect a huge Republican turnout, as we usually do on Election Day, too. Geary, Higgins, if you could, just in our final moments here, we've had to do this, sadly, for almost all of these interviews for Virginia, is remind people what District 30 is now, because it has been redistricted, redrawn, and people might not know that they're even in your district.
Yeah, thank you, Larry. Our district, District 30, takes in everything pretty much north and west of Leesburg in Loudoun County, with Route 15 being the dividing line. So west of Route 15 is part of it. It goes down Route 15, then it takes in a big piece of Arcola and Willisford, and then goes out and takes in the northern part of Fauquier County, and then connects back up with the western end of Loudoun County. That part of Fauquier County is north of Warrenton, does not include Warrenton. And I would say one last thing on this voting and early voting. We need to get our people out to vote. People need to remember what happened in 2019 and then the consequences in 2020. They closed our schools, our businesses.
Yep.
Our kids have suffered learning loss. I mean, we have short memories. We need to remember what happened, and our people get out and vote, because in 2019, in the Senate District 13 that was then covering this area, we had 34,000 people that did not vote, who voted in 2016 but didn't vote in 2019, and if a few thousand of them had voted, we'd be living in a different world. So we need to get our
Geary,
folks out.
Higgins, well said. And let me just say, based on what you just drew as District 30, I'd like to call that WMAL country. So you are
Amen,
heard
brother.
right now.
Amen, brother.
So get out there, folks. This is it.
Yeah.
Final push. Thank you, Geary. Now go knock some doors.
Thank you for having me. See you
It's
all,
eight-
and we'll let you know how the doors go.